Before we even start today's video, I can't help but notice yesterday's video, even though I suspected, and it should have been, based on the topic, demonetized. It's not. In fact, of all the most recent ones that shouldn't have been, they were. This one should have been, and was not. Well, since this one's a lot friendlier than previous topics, I fully expect this one to instead. So please smash the like and share it about. Also, yes, I'm doing a few announcements. Streaming at 9 PM over on the Omegon Plays and Twitch. Euro Truck Simulator, by all means join or not. I don't mind. Also, I released another reading video over on the Moisky Reads channel on Friday. It's called The Outsider. Please feel free to go and watch. Link to all of what I've mentioned so far down in the description below. As you can see from this far right monitor, the subject might have something to do with those pesky blocks that when stood on with a bare foot, it feels like you would be mortally wounded in such a way that death would be preferable to ever having to stand on one of those blocks ever again. Many of us, I was an exception to this, had them as a child. I never had the luxury of this, because we were poor. Someone did in fact a few years ago buy me a box of Lego because I'd mentioned I've never had or owned Lego. And then my sister stole it before I could open it. So all I've got left from that is a gift bag. Damn her. I still have never owned Lego. Oh well. So yes, I want to talk about Lego. We all had it as a kid, not me. It's quite popular. It's made a resurgence. The video games are quite entertaining. And the movies aren't too bad either. Well, as parents are now starting to demand more sustainable toys, I would argue less flimsy, some companies, Lego included, have taken the initiative to design sustainable blocks, which is fantastic. I mentioned flimsy because I'm sure many of you have noticed. Action Man isn't anywhere near the quality it was in the 90s when I was a kid. When I was a kid, the quality was amazing. Now, though, it seems to have gone back a step to when it was a single layer of plastic. Very brittle, which is odd for a plastic, and something that the paint quality is so poor, I have to correct it myself before giving it to a relative. Something I have done with a number of Marvel toys, which appears to be a cop-out. I have recently, and I'm holding it in my hand, am repainting a Iron Man money bank shaped like Tony Stark in his costume because the paint job is so inferior. For those that are curious, this is what it looks like so far. It's not amazing. I've only just done base coats and I still haven't finished. Yes, by the time I'm done this it will actually sparkle, and it has completely detracted from what I want to talk about. Lego has decided to perfect plant-based bricks. This doesn't, however, confirm or deny whether or not the blocks are any less painful. How much, you ask, are they designing plant-based bricks? The answer is that they are using polyethylene, which is produced from sustainably sourced sugarcane, which is fantastic news. It is a step in the right direction of moving away from how plastics are originally and consistently obtained. We have shops that are now starting to use biodegradable plastic bags, which is a huge step to the point where this country, the UK especially, has seen plastic bag use cut in half, which is good and bad. It's good because less plastic, bad because that 5p generated went straight to the tax man, so they get less money, which might also be good, but I'm sure for them it's bad because they want that tax. Now, for those who don't know, polyethylene is the most popular plastic in the world. How it is created, though, is where the issues arise. It is used for, obviously, shopping bags, children's toys, some bulletproof vests, and, of course, cleaning product bottles. Now, the list really can go on because it is the simplest of all commercial polymers. It is so usable in so many different areas. In 2017 alone, 100 million tons of polyethylene resins were produced, which accounted for 34% of the total plastics market, with its primary use being, obviously from earlier mentioned objects, packaging. To show off this new eco-friendly Lego kit, Lego have marketed it with a new Lego Treehouse kit, which is then obviously a part of Lego's new mission to court more parents into seeking out sustainable toys for their children. Undoubtedly the cost might vary a little at first, but once the market adjusts it should then reduce and get back to where it should be. Depends on supply and demand, of course. Lego's company in Denmark say the kit is about being much more than building an elaborate treehouse and about building towards the fulfillment of a company goal, which is to make Lego products entirely sustainable by 2030, which actually would coincide with a number of political related legislative bills that are coming forward. The UK is trying to reduce its carbon footprint to net zero by 2050. The EU themselves are also trying to reduce the carbon footprint and damage to the environment. They have a number of environmental bills that are being brought forward. Therefore, it is right that companies like Lego take a more proactive stance to try and get ahead of this, so that once these bills drop and come into effect, they are best prepared and able to continue business without the obvious impact of having to make adjustments at the 11th hour or face heavy and quite punishing fines. Of the kits being made, 200 of the pieces are made of these materials, which in retrospect isn't as much as you might think, since this particular treehouse has over 3,000 pieces. However, it is a rather good step, a substantial step in a direction towards making this more sustainable, and I'm all in favour of that. I think anyone taking a step or moving in that direction is great. Granted, marketing it as the first eco-based product is slightly inaccurate considering the amount of parts. However, it is progress and I'm all in favour of that. The article that I'm referencing this all from comes from NBC News, and all of it continually says millennial parents. Part of me, based on how they're framing the article, has me wonder if they're using it as a slight against the parents, which I think is a bit of a cop-out. It doesn't matter what generation your parents are from. If they care about the environment, they care about the environment. Maybe more from this current generation care about the environment than Gen X, or those dreaded, blasted, dratted boomers. However, it doesn't matter. If you care, you care. You don't, you don't. And if a company wants to look virtuous as hell by doing it, even though they're not exactly doing it to a scale that you might think of just yet, but it is still a scale regardless, so be it. I'm sure kids will love this if they can stick the Flash in it. Or Harry Potter. Or if you're British and they still exist, Dennis the Menace, because I believe his home, his little hideout even, was a treehouse. According to research analysts, they say that sustainability-minded shoppers are now a force to be reckoned with, which is from data tracking firm Nielsen, which noted that environmentally conscious shoppers have grown sustainable product sales by nearly 20% since 2040. By 2021, those same consumers are expected to spend $150 billion on sustainable goods. Now that, of course, doesn't take into account population growth and inflation, so it might not be as impressive as it might initially sound, but it's understandable that people are more conscious. And the report, which is published in May by the Toy Association, notes that millennial parents, yeah, that word again, want the toys and games their children play with to be more eco-friendly and are actively seeking out biodegradable toys. Hasbro, which is the company that makes all the Marvel action figures to that oh-so-sweet low-grade D- quality, have been working for the past several years on sustainable initiatives. Mattel, the company that makes Barbie and Hot Wheels, have also introduced sustainability goals, which include maximizing post-consumer recycled content, which shows that these companies are now starting to listen, which is great. They listen to the people. There I was thinking they were in the back pocket of all those in charge of the countries. My mistake. Do I need my sarcasm sign for that as well? Jeez. Anyway, I think this is an interesting article. I think it's interesting to me because it is now a sign of things changing without compromising on quality. Where you get the plastic from is of great fascination, but also how you make the plastic. I think that's interesting. I say this as somebody with a background in chemistry, so yeah, I'm interested. If it is actually sustainable, if it is actually environmentally friendly, then I'm all for it. I would have loved for them to have made the entire thing out of eco-friendly plant-based polyethylene, but a step in a direction is better than no direction at all.